Trent Jr., man, he's had more lives than 9 cats. Like he's survived all the time. Every time everything thinks that Gary's gone, Gary's right here. And here's the funny part, folks. For all you folks at home that had that on your bingo card, that you had that when you had the 3 free agents of this year for the Raptors, that the one that will still be here past the deadline. I don't think anyone had their bingo card Gary Trent Jr.
We're phoning this one in. It's a late night. In case you can't see the bags under my eyes, okay, and maybe over there on the other side, it's the trade deadline. This is what we all wait for. We all love to see it, okay? So let's get it right now. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in on To The Point with the King. You guys find us Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. YouTube, which is hopefully where you're watching us. And we can't wait to get to 750 because this is a brand new hoodie right there for any one of you people out there. So let's get into this. Okay. And thank you for enjoying our fantastic guests, especially the brilliant, the benevolent Beyond the Locker Room.
Wow, that's an intro, man. Hope I can deliver for all that.
I call him B, but you are, man. Credit is given where credit is due. Okay, let's get into this, my man.
Yeah, man.
So today, from what we saw from a Raptors perspective, since y'all ain't covering this south of the border, is today what we saw was the Raptors brought home a Canadian today in a trade. Yep. Okay, can we break this down? So it was Kelly Olynyk, somebody whose name I really cannot pronounce, and I won't because I do not want to insult them.
Agbaji in this case, yeah, is the 2-guard wing, came from Kansas as well.
The way it's spelled, it sounds like distant family members where their last name is Rajabali. But they did give up Kira Lewis Jr. and they did give up a pick. But let's not talk about the pick right now because last time you were here, we did speak about that. So I do want to throw that back to you. What do you think of this trade overall, my friend?
I think it's a good deal. I like the deal. I think overall, you moved off of certain players that weren't really going to play with Otto Porter Jr. It just wasn't going to happen. He wasn't really interested in really getting back to full health, if you want to call it that, to play. Yeah, it's written ridiculous at this point. This guy's out here shooting threes in contests in this case, but yet he couldn't play. So it was just a frustration that is now moved on from, But overall, for the other side of things, and like Lewis Jr. was always a throw-in, and he's a throw-in here to make the money work. And I think the other thing too is I think we talked about this last time when we discussed the last trade that was the Siakam trade, these 2024 picks. And I think my point
wait, we'll get into that. I want to talk about Olynyk.
We're gonna get to him too. I'm just saying the 2024 pick. Thank you. We're off of that. We'll get that in a second, but we're moving off of that now. As far as the other side of things, Olynyk, I think, is the type of big man that we've been waiting for a while to see if he can match up with the wings we have. And it's unfortunate some of the wings that we had are no longer with us, but at least now we have a big and shoot the three. He's a very good player that can play off of star players. He's got some nice passing ability. He's got good skills in this case overall. And he's just a good, solid player you can need in a rotation. Like he's not going to kill you on minutes when you put him out there on the bench, and he can play a little 5 if necessary. So we need more size. That helped a lot. I still think we need more size, but we got at least we got one more front court player that you could play in lineups near the end of the games as well too. So think of that scenario where instead of having Pirtle playing out there with his free throw shooting issues. And so, and then on the offensive end, just not, just pretty much just being a space eater and not giving any room for the guys that penetrate. Now you have a guy like Olynyk that could be out there at the 3-point line to give driving lanes for Barnes, Barrett quickly. So Overall, it's a great fit. Even though I think, to me, the more intriguing piece is Agbaji, because I think he is a guy I remember from college. I always liked his size, big, strong, physical kid. He can shoot the three pretty well. So he's kind of like, I know a lot of people are already kind of pegging him as like, this is the new OG. I think they're selling themselves short a little bit, because in the sense of, will he be as great defensively as OG? Probably not. But on the other side of things, I think he could be a little bit better offensively. And he's got a little more to his game than OG ever has offensively. And I think he'll be a fascinating way to see how he grew, how they kind of work him into this lineup. I suspect he'll be coming off the bench, but now he's got his other he does other rock sock Jayhawk in this case with him. With Grady. So they were obviously, they transferred rooms in this case, and now they're going to be roommates or teammates at least. So I think he fits real well with this team, and trying to get a much more athletic team on the wings and a much more physical team. And I think they need a guy that could be like that, especially to help Barnes when it comes to playing more wing defenders. You can have a guy that could go and take up some of that slack on during some of the possessions. So he is a fascinating pick. I am looking forward to watching him for the rest of the season for sure.
You know what? You just nailed it right there when you said that can help out Scotty. Because if you guys go check out the last video, I did say that for the trade deadline, they're going to need to pick up pieces to help Scotty, right? Mm-hmm. So what I will say here is I did say, you guys can go look this up. It's online. It's on the internet forever, okay? Catch me, cancel me, whatever you want. But I did say that they do need a big that can spread the floor to help Scotty, which is what you said earlier, right? And I think Kelly can really help with that. And with, I'm not going to pronounce his name until I get it right, but him as a wing, now the Raptors have another wing that's added to the arsenal that can help Scotty, because let's face it, Scotty is the de facto leader. He is the main focus and the franchise face of this team going forward, right? So I think that was a good step, but there is one thing I'm gonna shove it right back at you, brother. You said it last time you were here, To the Point. You said you were not excited about the 2024 picks that are available. So do you think Masai, because I saw people shitting on Masai earlier today about, you gave away a first round pick.
Yeah, well,
what do you think about the actual first round pick that they gave up? Do you not think they swindled them? Like there was some snake oil? Here, take this.
No, I think like Utah right now seems to be in the collection of draft pick mode. They have a ton of them already from the Gobert deal and the Mitchell deal. Yeah. I did find it interesting they wanted one more, which is like, especially for this draft, but if you're willing to get rid of it, great. I mean, we saw Masai say so in the presser a couple of weeks ago after the Siakam deal, mentioning about these 24 picks, and he suggested in this case that he was given the inclination that some of them might get parlayed into deals. So here we are now. The good thing about the pick is he got rid of the most useless of all the picks that he has so far, because it was essentially the pick for the last pick of the draft, perhaps, because it was either going to be OKC's pick or the Clippers pick, likely. I think Houston has an opportunity, but is whichever one's got the best record of the three would be the pick. And the way how Oklahoma City's playing and the Clippers, they're going to be either like the second or the third best record or the best record in the league. And if that's the case, you're looking at a pick somewhere at 27, 28, 29.
Gordon Hayward now.
Right, yeah. 30. So at that point, why have the pick when you have a pick from Detroit there for the Knicks that you just got there, which is going to be the first pick of the second round, and you essentially got the same type of player, and you're not going to have to pay him guaranteed money as a second round pick. So from that standpoint, all these moves today, we'll get to that, I'm sure, as well, too, where you see where this is leading to some extent, right? You keep on hearing Bobby, Masai to a lesser extent, talk about flexibility is the term they've been using a lot in the last few weeks. Flexibility, right? So this is once again showing the flexibility by getting off that draft pick, and now you have the second round pick, where in this case, when it comes to money, nothing's guaranteed. So keep that in mind too. So that is interesting on that front. Yeah, but overall, I'm glad they got rid of the pick because I was wondering, like, my question has been for the longest time, how much value is a 2024 first round pick worth? Right?
You think it's not a lot?
No, but my point has been proven, right? Because it wasn't much in this case. You're not saying no disrespect. I think the Raptors got the better of the deal, and for Utah, Utah is pretty much they're just like kind of like just dumping salary to some extent. They don't care in this case here, but it had to be something like that in this case here. Like that's as much you're gonna get. You're not gonna get it for big fish. You're gonna get it for like medium-sized fish to small fish. So if you got rid of it, great. That's just get if it could work for something else, for some actual production and real players. I say that part's a win.
You know what? I like what they did there, and especially with the draft pick, because after you mentioned that to me, I did a deep dive, and I went into the potential players that the Raptors can get in the first round.
Yeah, Basketball Rewind, we're doing some prospect stuff already. My colleagues on that show, in this case, I think they use the term a flat draft. I just go old school. I ain't really care about folks' feelings. It's a weak draft, okay? It's a weak draft.
Ed O'Bannon is not coming to Toronto. But
wow. I was there when that happened, man.
But
I was the one doing.
But seriously, you did nail it last time you were here, mentioning about the draft picks. But last time you were here, you also did mention about cap space, right? And now that leads us to the second trade the Toronto Raptors made today.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
Dennis Schroeder and Thad Young. Now, I want to get into this a little bit for Spencer Dinwiddie, but apparently the Raps are going to waive him because if they keep him, he gets paid extra money. I believe it's $1.5 million, which to them is pretty peanuts, but it's a principle. So what are your thoughts on the trade of Dennis Schroeder leaving him after signing him as a free agent? Like that's pretty much a salary dump. And then getting Thad Young.
Thad Young's definitely a salary dump. Okay, that's a lot of money you're moving off with Thad for really. I mean, God bless Thad. He played pretty well for the week or two that he played, but like you really should. I mean, when it's all said and done, it says everything about your roster when 38-year-old Thad is playing 25 minutes a night. Like that, there's no other roster in the NBA where Thad Young will be playing 25 minutes a night. No roster. There's some. I don't know. There's some college teams that Thad would get 5 minutes on their teams. Like I don't know what we're doing here with that. So for that to be the case, that's a positive. As for the Dennis part of this, let's face it, man. It's now clear to everyone, and there's already rumors in this case when quickly came. There's an article came out. I think Range was the one that put the article out. Talking about Dennis was not too happy about going to the bench.
Yep.
Now
he was not at all.
Right. So, which now tells us now that in this case, Dennis moving off now 3 weeks later, is that probably in this case when Dennis was signed, in this case here, Dennis was assured that he would be the starting point guard, which has been mind blowing to everyone from day one, because everyone that's watched basketball for the last 10 years knows
he's a backup.
He's a very good backup, and that's about his role. And yet somehow in this team he was starting. So he was given assurances of that. Once the assurances had not paid off at this point here, and they're moving in their direction, it was time to move on. The fact they moved on to Brooklyn was a little rough, but you didn't really get a nice landing spot. But I guess technically he gets to run a team, I guess, in Brooklyn. So I guess technically, because I don't know Brooklyn's point guard situation, good luck with that bunch. But this tells you about like how this front office works sometimes, where it's like they put themselves in position and they have to clean up the mess afterwards, and then it's like a cascading effect, which then creates a new issue. This is probably even this scenario, getting Dinwiddie, who's a fantastic player, arguably probably would have been the best one-on-one player we had on the team if he stayed in the roster. My issue is right if he were to play. And here's the thing: there's three scenarios you could take it. He stays on the roster, as you said. 2, you could have flipped him perhaps before the deadline was done. And then the third option is what they took, which is the easiest one. We'll just cut him. Like, huh? I think you can get yourself probably a draft pick, maybe a future draft pick for Dinwiddie, or maybe some other half decent player you want to bring on. Maybe one more big. I think this team needs another big. Like when it's all said and done. So I think Dinwiddie would be able to get you a big. And I'm just amazed about that. And I'll just say this too, as a side note. Interesting that all the lead up and top for the last 3 weeks, who were the marked men in this case for the Raptors everyone's expecting to move?
Boucher.
Trent. Bingo.
Trent.
Right.
Schroeder, Brown.
Brown. Those three especially. I don't think Schroeder only started kind of popping up the last couple of days. But those three were the ones everyone has had all the trade machines and the fan spos and everything else with those three. And I find it fascinating that all three are still on the team. You know, Gary Trent Jr., man, he's had more lives than 9 cats. Like he's survived all the time. Every time everything thinks that Gary's gone, Gary's right here. And here's the funny part, folks. For all you folks at home that had down your bingo card, that you had to have when you had the 3 free agents of this year for the Raptors, that the one that will still be here past the deadline. I don't think anyone had their bingo card Gary Trent Jr. And even kind of Precious in the list of free agents. No one would have suspected that of the 4 of them, Gary will be the one here past the deadline. Amazing.
You said it with he's got more lives than a cat. Because call me Batman. Because I've been calling for him to get traded.
Okay. Well, yeah. He's a good player, but you could get,
inconsistency. That's what it is. That's what bothers me about him.
Yes, he's a good player. He's a streaky player. And the thing is, I think he's one of those guys that can net you a better player that you need for your roster. Even if you put him with one of these draft picks, you could probably gotten something more. So it's surprising that he didn't. Now, I know the market for Trent might be a little soft, but at the same time, he still can shoot. Like right now, he's like leading the league in this case since January 1st as the highest 3-point percentage in the league. Or something like that. He's in the top 3 or something like that. I don't know what happened. He might have dropped after last night's game, but like he's been on fire lately. Like, so I think sometimes the Raptors, I heard Bobby Webster have his press conference. They talk about, he's kind of, fitting in with his group. And it's like, to your point, we've seen this film before. We've seen this movie before. He goes on these heaters for a month or 6 weeks, and he looks like the next coming Steph Curry. Yeah. And then he can't throw it in the Lake Ontario after that. That said, I'll give him his due. When the season's done, he's usually right there at 38% or so at 3-point percentage. So he finds a way to get right back to that, close to 40% at 3 points. So whatever you want to say, it'd be like a roller coaster, but he usually gets around 38, 37, 39% when it's all said and done from 3. So
it's all said and done, but like I say, consistency and stability.
It's right? Exactly,
and reliability as well at the same time.
Exactly.
Now you said something just now recently, like just now in your rant prior to Gary, about about that I want to hit on, and what I was looking forward to. This is why I called you and reached out to you. It's the Raptors unloaded 2 guys that are over the height of Vision 6'9" in Otto and Thad, with the only replacement of Kelly. Now, what I said on the last episode, in order for the Raptors to start succeeding, ladies and gentlemen, don't expect this season, don't expect it next season, but in order for them to succeed, they need to build around Scottie and bring in a big. And I think Thad playing, like you said earlier, 20-something minutes, doing pretty much nothing, right? And Otto Porter with a broken toe. I don't know how you can't play with that. But I think this is a step in the right direction. And with Schroeder maybe behind the scenes getting upset and causing maybe a slight disturbance, because I've seen it in locker rooms that I've been in where one guy's not happy with his role. Maybe that could have caused a little issue and a little discrepancy within the team, right? Maybe a slight friction, right? But there also is the fact that now that it is Scottie's team, I think, and now that the trade deadline has just passed, So everything's settled in cement, right?
Mm.
Um, do you think the Raptors can actually like build a better chemistry for the rest of the season and possibly next for what they have available?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah. Bop, bop.
Um, yeah, because you still going back to our previous conversation, you still have guys that have very ambiguous futures with this team. I'll put it that way. And they have, and at that time, hey, it's a business. Folks have their different agendas. How is that all working for the greater good? I know in this case here, and Bobby Webster kind of pretty put it out today, and you just said it just now. Scotty's team and stuff like that. I'm of the philosophy based on how this team looks right now. I'm of the mindset it's nobody's team till I actually see someone actually assert themselves as that dude. I think right now the Raptors are setting themselves up in a very dangerous spot from the standpoint of kind of like saying, "Hey, this is your team and this is that." Like you have to be very careful with these type of things, with these, especially in the circumstances you're in now, because now we're looking at a team that doesn't have a lot of bets on it, and you have I call it in this case my Lord of the Flies theory, right? Everyone's gonna come in here. Right. Everyone's going to want to come in there and say, hey, I'm the big man on campus, right? Because you got a lot of young guys trying to make a name for themselves. All of them trying to make a name for themselves, right? There's not like a bunch of vets in here that kind of know their role, wherever the case would be. If even you like Shooter or don't like Shooter, he's a vet that kind of, for the most part, even though he had trouble with his own role too.
And he got one of these.
Yeah. At least he had understand what he had to do as a vet in that sense. I think you got a lot of young guys that are still, they're trying to get onto their second contract and they try to make a name for themselves. Guys have ambitions. Guys want to be all this, all that, and all-star players. Like I don't think, and I don't say this in any sort of way of shade. I think, if you're young and you're talented, you would probably think to be ambitious. So that assume at the moment this is Scotty's team, I know part of the reason why they're trying to do so, because they're trying to stem what I'm discussing right now. Like, hey, we're trying to create a pecking order, but you play ball. I play a little ball in my time. When you have no real pecking order in this case here, folks are going to start making their own pecking order in this case real quick, right? If you don't have that. And we see it play out a little bit already post the Siakam deal. Because my theory has always been when Siakam got traded, I said things get untethered. Because Siakam in this case was a stabilizing force. Everyone knew how their pecking order was with him. He had the resume. Ain't no one gonna say nothing. The moment he left, now it's like
a free for all.
Right, you're looking over your shoulder like, who said this dude's the dude? Right? And it's like that's just the natural instinct of young players, young talented players, not like guys who are just coming up from from the CBL or just or a journeyman or something like that from the G League. I'm talking about guys who are like top line draft picks from blue blood schools that are like, used to being the dude. So we will see how this is all going to play out, this little experiment for the next 35, 40 games. I'm going to find it fascinating. But they've taken some steps to help with that troika of Barnes, Quickly, Barrett, with the moves that they made today, especially the Utah move.
Bingo. I said it the other night on our last episode. Ladies and gentlemen, go check it out. I said, in order for Scotty to flourish, he's got RJ to cut. He's got Quickly, who's like a spark plug. He's got Dick fighting a stroke. Those jokes write themselves. They need a big to help them. So let's see what chemistry, before we get out of here, let's see what chemistry the Raptors can build within this organization, right? Like, I suggest, like, I like Gary Trent. I love the fact that he's got that Blue Jays jersey, the old school one, when I used to go to the games at the exhibition in the 80s, right? I love the fact that he's got that one with his name on it. Cool. Kudos. You love the city. Great for you. We love you too. Put him on the bench. Let these guys start.
Well, I think that's why, to your point and what we've discussed just now, why I think you need to get another big. Like, in theory, to your point, if you got yourself a quality big, and that big may come in the draft, right? But if you got yourself a big that can start, now, I think they prefer to play Scotty at the 3, as a small forward a little bit. And now he slides down there. You got Barrett 2, you got Quickly at the 1. the new person, wherever he is, be it free agency or the draft, he's in that position. And then of course you have Pirtle at the moment as that, and then you have the second unit. What I think to keep an eye on might not mean anything going back to the big and stuff like that. They still have 2 roster spots available at the moment. So there's the buyout market. Keep an eye on that. Who knows? They might sign Porter in this case for the.
But you're not a fan of cap space.
No, I'm just talking about someone for the end of the year, right? Now, buyout markets usually are a great case for teams like Toronto. So it's interesting they still have 2 spots left. I suspect they might bring up like someone like Freeman Liberty because they don't have another point guard at the moment with Schroeder going out. So he might get one of those slots. So keep an eye on that.
Dude, that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole episode. That kid, from what I've seen, oh my God.
I would like him to get a shot. I mean, because now there's space for him to get a shot now because they don't really have a secondary point guard anymore. I understand they're going to play Scotty more at point. That is part of the reason why, going back to your initial point, things to help Scotty. They want to kind of give Scotty more and more opportunity to play point guard. Fine, but I still think I would like to have a quote third point guard on the roster in case someone gets hurt. Right?
I would think Scotty plays more point forward. And
yeah, right. But I'm saying when the second unit comes, Scotty's going to be essentially the quintessential. He will be actually the de facto point guard of that second unit, instead of having a typical backup point guard, which was Schroeder.
But I'm saying,
I think you still need a third guy in case something happens, and you need to have another guy. So
because that kid is a diamond in the rough. That's a whole nother episode. If you want to come on and we can cover him. I've been loving what I've seen.
Let's see what we do with him first, because I think in the next week or so we're going to start finding out more about his situation after the All-Star break.
Yeah, but B, I gotta ask you before we get out of here. I love to get something off the chest. And after what happened today, what's up with your Pistons, bro?
Hey man, it's about time we had to make some moves. I think Detroit is I think they're setting themselves up for the offseason. I think they're going to do kind of the Houston plan and try to get some vets to help some of these young guys and kind of start streamline which young guys they want to keep and which ones they don't. So the move today, moving off of 2 vets, Burks and Bogdanovich, I think was the right thing. And they got themselves back a great, a pretty good shooter in Grimes, who I think will be part of the future in Detroit. And the other 2 guys are pretty much just good for getting off the cap space at the end of the year, Fournier's contract, and of course Flynn. So I don't think Flynn will be much. I don't think Flynn will be a Motown for very long. So I think that there for the offseason for them to use that cap space to try to go after some type of guys in this case that could fill out the roster a little bit more and have a more competent team to have around Cade and Ivy and Duran. So we'll see. Of course, Thompson, who I love Thompson. Love Thompson.
He's a big Detroit guy.
Yeah, man. I love Thompson. So I think just on the Knicks side, they're going all in, man. I tell you, man. Go New York, go for these Knicks fans, including my dad, man. He's quite happy. They're all in, man. They're loaded the bear right now, and they're just waiting to hold the fort down for Randall. And I tell you right now, if you told me at the end of May and we get to the beginning of June, we get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the New York Knickerbockers are in the New York Eastern Conference Finals, I will not be surprised.
Now, no, I won't be surprised at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With how vulnerable the top of the East is right now, you got one team can't ever figure out what coach they want. We got another team that's lost their center for about a month and a half, and who knows what he's going to look like when he comes back. And then the other team has always been shaking the playoffs because they shoot too many threes, and God knows that they have a cold streak in the middle of a playoff series. They're out, and they only got like 6 dudes they play with. So good luck with that. And they're counting on one of them to be Porzingis. And trust me, as a Mavericks fan, I've had the KP experience. Trust me, I know how that goes. I know how that story ends. I ain't trying to wish nothing for nobody or any harm on anybody, but I know how that story goes.
You saw how it happened on the Knicks, right? So
yeah, exactly. Good luck to you. Good luck to you, Celtics fans. Good luck to
you.
Oh, geez. So if I'm the Knicks or even Cleveland, any of those teams that just supposed to cut below, it's sitting right there for you, man. Good on the Knicks. Yeah,
it's tight in the Eastern Conference, man. It's really tight. The West is also really tight at the top, but like they're tied. They're all tied for the same record, basically. Thank you for sticking with us. We did this late night just for you. So wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and